Hey y'all, and welcome to Let's Talk Sis. I'm Shekinah, your host, and as we spend time together, I can promise you three things. I'll be honest, I'll make you laugh, and I won't hold back. Let's Talk Sis is your essential girl talk destination where you'll hear about life from the perspective of a Black woman in America, as our stories often go untold. I can assure you, while honest, we are a community for growth and love. Remember to like, subscribe, and share the podcast. Now sit back, relax, and let's talk, sis. Family, welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. This is Let's Talk Sis. This is your favorite podcaster's favorite podcast. And I am back with a very special guest. You probably recognize her, my favorite baby cousin, Miss Cierra Miller. Hey, girl.
Hello. I am so excited to be here.
How you doing? How you doing?
Good. I'm doing good. I am stepping into new heights of my content creation. So I've been
Yes.
excited about that. So I've been doing good. I've been doing
My
good.
girl is a real life vlogger, content creator, all the things. I'd be like, okay, Sierra, very good,
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
good.
I'm trying.
I see you. I see you. So before we get started, as always, I gotta read her bio, give y'all some props, or give her some props, let y'all know who we got with us. So Cierra Miller, first and foremost, is a child of God. She is a limited licensed social worker who works as a behavior interventionalist in the schools as well as a mental health clinician. And she's also, as we mentioned, a full-time content creator on TikTok and YouTube. So I'll make sure to put all the info on there so we can follow our girl. Welcome to the show. How I already
Yeah.
asked you how you are, but are you excited? Are you nervous? How you feeling?
I'm excited. I'm not nervous, but I am excited. I love just chit-chatting. So
Yes.
being back here, back in this space is exciting. And I'm
Yes.
ready to dive into some good conversation.
Let's do it. So before we get started, y'all know what time it is. It's time for us to set the mood for a good conversation. So, Sierra, what are you burning? What's your candle you got going on today?
All righty. So I have this, I don't know if you can see, it's cranberry mandarin.
Oh,
And it smells so good to be having my room smelling delicious.
yum.
And it just smells so like summery and fruity. And that is just who I am at my core. I am not a winter girly. And I live in Michigan. So y'all know during it's January, we've been having below zero. So this just kind of helps me feel like exactly, yeah. So this candle helps me feel like I'm just, on a tropical island and
Yes.
sipping mimosas, or maybe have me like a strawberry daiquiri, or something like that. It just gives not winter or fall.
All the things. I love how we are low key synced because my candle is called Good Vibes Only. Unfortunately, it does not tell me what scent exactly it is, but it's sun and sand. So as a part
Those
of the
are good
description.
vibes.
So those are great vibes. It says your vibes attract your tribe. Dispel negativity with positive energy. So that's what we got going on. That's the scent. I just put out one of the things, but so it seems like we're both into this, like you said, fruity tropical summer, wake me up kind of scent.
Absolutely. I am not a fall scent girly. I don't want any of the vanillas and the cedar woods and all of those. You keep those, okay? The pine cones. I don't want none of that.
I love those scents. It just depends though on the type of year on the time of year and the mood. But
I can't have pumpkin spice.
I don't want pumpkin. I don't want pumpkin, and I don't want no what is it? It's like cupcakes sometimes. They be smelling like feet. They don't really smell like the pastry itself.
Yeah,
so
true,
I don't be liking it.
Okay, yeah, I don't like these.
Before we get started, y'all know I like to ask an icebreaker question just to help loosen us up a little bit. So, my question for you is, what is your favorite part about yourself, internally or externally? What's your favorite part, or one of each?
I'll do one of each.
Okay, girl.
But seriously, I think so. Like overall, my favorite part of myself is my personality. I feel like I wish I could be my own. I am my own best friend,
Yes.
but like I
Yes.
just love who I am. I love like how I joke around. I love just how I like dance around the house. Like I just love my personality. I think I have an A1 personality, if I do say
Her.
so.
Agree. I agree. I agree.
Well, thank you. And then like physically, I love my chocolate skin. Like it is
Mm,
just something about it just makes me just radiate. And it's crazy because
yes.
growing up, it was the total opposite. So I don't know if that's why I love it so much now, is because growing up,
Probably.
I hated it. And I literally used to say that I was going to marry a white man so that I would have mixed children. So
Mm.
they have to have literally, and I don't even like white men.
Ooh.
White men.
Ooh.
Okay.
Ooh.
Some strong revelations back in the day. But no, now I can't wait for my chocolate baby. I've learned to love myself and block out the
Yeah.
societal hate against dark skins. So
Yes.
see,
Power to the people. The blacker the berry, the sweeter the juice.
period. So can I ask you the same question?
Oh, yeah. So, okay, so I would say similar the personality, but I like more so the fact that I feel like I'm funny and I feel like I can make anybody laugh. Like, and I'm not like a stand-up joke kind of funny, but like I'm gonna get my jokes in, I'm gonna get my jokes off. And they be jokes where you be like, uh, this shit,
Okay.
uh,
Did you just
yes, I
yes,
did. And you would have laughed because you was probably thinking the same thing too. So I love
absolutely.
that. I love that I can make people laugh. And I think physically, I really like my smile.
You do have a beautiful smile. I love your dimples.
Yes, I
I be
love my
trying to
smile.
force
It's
some.
it's just this one. It's just this one. And my mom, hers is on the opposite side. So that's a cute little thing. Fun fact. But
Oh yeah.
yeah, I love my
Me and my mom both
smile.
have a
Is that
mole
a
under our lip.
mm,
I believe my
beauty
granddad
mark?
had it as well.
Cute, cute. It's crazy how genetics works. Like I'd be like, I looking at my brother's kids and how they all look alike, and I'd be like, dang, what are my kids gonna look like? Are they look just like me? Are they look like that? I don't know. I don't know. It's just so great. Um, so
I hope mine look like me.
yes, right.
Okay.
Sierra, we're going to get into your business today. We've
All
gotten to know
right.
you a little bit through the pod on a personal level, but today we want to get to know you on a professional level. So, as I read in your bio, you are a licensed social worker. So, walk me through a day in the life of a social worker as it exists right now, because I'm sure it can mold and change and adapt. But what is a day in the life like right now?
So, a day. So I work, like I said, I work two jobs. I work in the elementary school as a behavior interventionist, as well as community mental health as a clinician. So some days I only work at the school, and some days I work both jobs. So obviously those days look a little different.
Mm-hmm.
But typically at the school, I kind of come in. I like to start with like checking in with my students. So I have students on my caseload who have either experienced trauma or have like really great behavior issues. Like there's a certain number if they have more referrals, then they, come to my caseload and we do like assessments and things and try and figure out what's going on. What's really going on underneath this anger and these, tantrums and things. So I
Mm-hmm.
try to do like some check-ins. We do some one-on-ones, we do some groups. I push in and I observe the classrooms. And in those one-on-ones and groups, we work on like emotional regulation skills and just learning how to identify their emotions, what their emotions mean, how they can handle their emotions. I teach them like deep breathing exercises. I have to work with parents because a lot of times the parents don't understand that just because your child needs extra help is not a bad thing. And I think a lot of
Yeah.
parents don't like that label or that stigma that their
Mm-hmm,
child may
mm-hmm.
need a 504, an IEP, or something just to help, or a behavior plan to just put some extra things in place to help your child. Now, my child ain't, they don't need that. They do, and you're hindering your child.
Yikes.
So yeah, my day at the school is just a lot of hands-on with the children, as well as trying to bridge the gap um, of the parents and the teacher. I'm kind of like
Mm,
I'm bringing everybody together of how can we best support this child.
okay.
And then my day at like the community mental health, they're walk-in. So it's like an urgent care for mental health. You can come in and
Oh,
say,
okay.
yep, I would like I would like therapy or substance use treatment or medication
That's cool.
management. Yep. So they come in and I'll do the it's called a biopsychosocial assessment. And I'll, go through all of why are you here? I'll go through all of their demographics, what trauma they've experienced.
Mhm.
It takes almost 2 hours to go through the whole assessment.
Oh wow.
Yep. And then I will give them like tentative diagnoses. And then they will go see a therapist, and then a therapist will either confirm that diagnosis or, change it or tailor it, and they'll create a plan and things like that. But where I work, they just come in, do that initial assessment, and then we send them off. We don't continue to work with them. It's literally like an urgent care where they, just come.
Okay.
We do see some frequent flyers of like substance use, people
Yeah.
who have substance use issues, and there are recovery coaches there to help talk and stuff. So those days can get very long. I do 3 days a week doing both.
Okay.
So yeah, it can be very emotionally draining on those days.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's big girl work. How much of what you have to like the tools and the emotional regulation and the breathing exercises, etc., do you feel like you need to implement in your own life? Because, like you're saying, it's emotionally draining. How do you reset?
That is a good question because I was just talking about this with somebody. It's like I be teaching all these skills and learning how to identify our emotions and telling them just because you feel the emotion that's being shown is anger, but you're really, disappointed,
Yeah.
you're really sad. But when it comes to me, baby, all that goes out the window. I'm mad. It's like, where's the emotional regulation that you were just telling little Johnny
Hello.
2 hours ago?
Don't let Johnny catch you in the street.
Okay, like that's
It's
the emotional
Sierra.
regulation. Here's your
Yeah.
breathing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I do a lot of self-care, like pouring into myself. I love to like just get my nails done. I love to go shopping. I love to just take myself out to eat. So I do a lot of spending time with myself. Outside of work, I genuinely don't like to be around people. Like I'm good. I'll be right in this house and I'm good. Like I love
Yeah.
time with myself. So I think really just replenishing my cup that way. But I do think that I need to do better with actually using the skills that I am teaching.
Bingo. They say those who can't do teach, but you can do it. You can do it, I'm
Yes,
sure.
se puede.
So what made you choose a career like this? Like it's not for the weak.
It isn't. And honestly, so my mom is a social worker, but
Okay.
her degree is in counseling. My degree is actually in social work, but they
Okay.
kind of overlap. But so growing up, I saw her as a wraparound coordinator where she went into the homes and she helped families. So like it would be like she would be there for the child. So the child would probably be like a teenager experiencing issues in school, home life, whatever. And she would come and try to help the family help that child, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
Usually it's
Mhm.
not just that
Mhm.
child, it's the
Mhm.
family.
Mhm.
So she
Yep.
provided them with resources and kind of, was just there for the family. And so growing up, I saw that and I'm like, oh,
Okay.
what? I like that. I would want to do that. Like I've always had the heart to want to help. Then
Okay.
I read this book, and honestly, I credit me becoming a social worker to this book, and it's called A Child Called It, and it's about
Mm.
a man named Dave. He actually has it's crazy because his first book is a child called It, and his last book is A Man Named Dave.
Okay.
So growing up, he grew up in an abusive household with his
Mm.
mother, and she did all kind of stuff to him, like burnt his arm on the stove, made him drink that. He had to sleep in a cot on the like in the basement. And like his like reading that book, I was like I have to help. I have
Mm.
to be a part of not allowing children to go through this. So
Yeah.
genuinely, when I went into social work, because of that book, A Child Called It, I got into it wanting to be a foster care worker. That was what
Okay.
social work was to me, was foster care.
Foster care.
Yes. And I knew my
Mm-hmm.
mom, did a little, different, but from reading that book, that's what my goal was to get, and I wanted to eventually own a group home. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's how I got really into social work, is honestly that book. And I think my mom played a part in it too. But you should
Yeah.
read, if you have not heard of that book, I would suggest you read it. It is a tearjerker.
Yeah.
But yeah, but I think there's three books.
Okay. Three
Um
series.
Yeah, I think because it's a child called It, and then there's a boy something, and then a man named Dave, and it shows, how he was
Mm-hmm.
able to
That's
make it.
deep.
And yeah, and matter of fact, I think I'm gonna read those again.
Ooh, yeah,
Yeah.
that sounds intense and
Yeah.
very much so intense. And it's really commendable because I think I was gonna say we all, but not we all, because
Mhm.
obviously not everybody. But I think those who feel, sensitive to those kinds of situations want to be able to help and want to be able to do something about it, right?
Mhm.
And like for me, I want to be able to help influence other people through having hard conversations, but to put yourself into a situation and go deep with these families, go deep with these kids. And yeah, you have to keep some sort of emotional distance, right? But if you're a human being, you're going to feel, you're going
Absolutely.
to be engulfed and the simple fact of you're putting in your work, your time, your effort to create these plans, develop these, methodologies, go through these
Mhm.
processes with these people, and not always is it successful, not always does it work. And so even the times that it does work, it's the fact that you even got to do this to begin with. So,
Mhm.
I can imagine that's really tough and very important. So hats off to you and all of your colleagues, for stepping up, and making those sacrifices and putting forth that work, to provide these resources for these people who may not have thought there were other options. What are some misconceptions that people have about social workers? Can you address some of those, or some common things that people think you do but you don't actually do?
So I know one of the biggest common misconceptions of social workers is that they just take people kids, or
Mm-hmm.
that they just listen to people talk about their problems.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, and yes, but it's a lot more to that. The social
Uh-huh.
worker is there to listen, but then, okay, how can we help? How can I be of service to you so that way we can fix this problem? So, um, I think if people looked at social work more as serving, and serving a community or serving a population, then they would see that you kind of do a lot to meet these customers' needs, stuff that,
Mm.
it's not just listening to their problems. Like when I worked in foster care, I had to take the kids to the dentist. I had to pick them up
Mm.
and drop them off at school. Like I was literally their almost guardian, because they
Mhm,
were
mhm,
a
mhm.
ward of the state at this time. So
Mm.
it was more than just listening, to the children or listening to the parents. It was especially case management. Case management is so much, because you are literally managing these people's lives, but you have your own life to manage as well.
Right.
You
Right,
have your
right,
own life
right.
to manage, but they require so much, because they're not starting at the same point you are. They're, not they're starting from a different point, and it takes a lot to help these, whatever area, because there's many different areas of social work. So whatever area you're in, it's not going to be just snatch the kids or listen to their problem. It's going to be basically all hands in, and you're going to be really as if, their life is kind of like your life. You're helping them, and you can't do it for them, but you are one of their biggest, supports, or their biggest, they lean on you kind of for a lot in
For a lot
social.
of different things.
Hmm.
So how do you get to the point where you are involved in a child being removed from the home? Like, is there a process? I mean, I'm sure there's a process, or are there certain criteria you have to meet or don't meet? What does
Yes.
that look like?
So for me, I worked so CPS, Child Protective Services, is who removes the child. And
Okay.
then the foster care side is they work with the family for a year to try reunification is the goal. So
Right.
CPS and foster care, they work together, but the foster care worker does not remove the child. The
Okay.
CPS worker removes the child and then transfers the case to the foster care worker, and the foster care worker manages the family. So they will
Okay.
manage the children as well as the bio parents who are trying to get their children back,
Right.
hopefully. So the process is, so say somebody, calls a complaint, a CPS complaint, which I've
Mm-hmm.
like at the school, I've had to call CPS multiple times of, the things that the children tell me or whatever. And it may not be, it could be totally
Mm-hmm.
made
Mm-hmm.
up. They could be
Frivolous.
making this up,
Mm-hmm.
but it's my duty to report it. So
Right.
somebody makes a report and it goes to centralized intake, and they investigate whether or not, like, if the report says so and so was, sucking his thumb outside, they're not going to investigate that.
Mm-hmm.
But if it is something where they're like, okay, this could be something, they'll hand it to a CPS worker. A CPS worker will go to the home, investigate, see what's going on. They will visit the child at the school. They kind of visit them in different places to kind of talk to them and see. And then if they find substantial evidence that this
Mm-hmm.
is a neglectful situation, this is an abusive situation, this is, whatever, this is not an environment for a child to be in, then
Mm-hmm.
CPS then removes the child. And like I said, then the case goes over to foster care. And
Mm-hmm.
bio parents have a year. It doesn't have to take up to a year, but after a year is when they start looking at, okay, let's start looking at more of adoption and long-term foster care. But they have a year to work with the foster care system, to go to the parenting classes, take the substance use classes,
Mm-hmm.
to get housing resources, parenting classes, whatever they have to do. The court orders them to do, a list of these things, and then they just have the social workers there to help. I'm here to set you, I mean, the foster care worker, I'm here to help set you up with counseling. I'm here to, if you need help getting to your counseling appointments, I'm here to, they kind of, and like I said, I did it and I only lasted 6 months. It was
Mm.
too much for me. I'm like, yes, these people need help. But in my mind,
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't rationalize that these are grown adults that are twice
Yeah.
my age that I'm having to tell. Like, I literally had a parent tell me their rights were terminated. And it was kind of a sticky situation because once I got the case, it had already gone to termination. But I
Mm.
had to be the one to go to court to relay that message. These
Mm.
people had never met me before.
Yeah.
I just
Mm-hmm.
started working here 2 weeks ago, and I
Mm-hmm.
have to come tell the judge, please terminate their rights.
That's scary.
Literally based off, I just had the caseworker's previous note.
Information.
And
Yeah.
so I just had to go based off that. And like, I literally have to testify,
Yeah.
and
Swear that this is
yes, and
what's.
I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
hopefully this, I mean, and I did say that, I just received the case, that I'm going based off, the previous case. But I was like, I didn't like that feeling of having to
Yeah.
terminate a right, some
The
rights that
parental rights.
they definitely needed to be terminated, but I wasn't there to see that. But
Right.
in the court, just thinking of, like I said, when I said it, just grown people, I just couldn't get over, like, this family, and this was during the termination hearing, they were testing positive for meth. And she was like, well, just because we parent differently than other people. So, well, meth is not necessarily a parenting style.
Right. Right.
So
Not
and
at
I'm just like,
all.
why do I have to tell a 40-year-old
Yeah.
that? And I'm 22, 23.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can't, I like, and so, and to me, like I said, when they're in foster care, you are their parent. I didn't realize that I was going to be taking them to doctor's appointments and picking them up from school and all of the parenting times. And like, I had a family of 7 and they were all placed
Oof.
in like an hour away. I had to coordinate to get everybody to the home. Then I have to go, I have you're supposed to only have 13 cases. When I left, I had 22.
Oh.
And I have to see these kids every single month.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
you guys are setting me up for failure. And these are people's lives. I'm
Yeah. You
not
can't
doing
play
it.
with
I'm
that.
not doing it. Peace out. So that's why I would say there's so many different avenues of social work. And I tell people, don't get into it thinking that that's all that there is. It takes a special person to do CPS
Mm-hmm.
and foster care. There are
Mm-hmm.
so many different avenues that you can still work with the same population, but not be
Mm-hmm.
so hands-on. And I just didn't like, because obviously foster care is a system. There
Mm-hmm.
are things about systems that are always not gonna be good, or not gonna,
Right.
we don't agree with. And when you're the foster
Mm-hmm.
care worker, you're the face of that system. And I didn't like
Mm-hmm.
being the face of the foster care system. I didn't like, people, you take people kids, and it's like, no, well, the kids needed to be taken. First of all, you
Need to
were,
be tucked.
yeah, you
Yeah.
were doing drugs in front of them. But at the
Right.
same time, I don't like that feeling of going, like, one little boy, I moved him 6 times in the 6 months I worked there.
Mm.
I'm not,
Yeah.
I can't.
How do you respond to, like, if or how do you suggest, I guess, if someone is close to a situation that needs looking into, right? Like,
Mhm.
um, I go over my coworker's house and I notice she don't ever feed her son, or I don't know, whatever. You've observed yourself something where the child may not be in the safest environment. How does
Mhm.
one go about aiding in a situation like that? Do they call 911? Do they call CPS? Do they look for a social worker? What do they do?
If there are genuine concerns, yes, call CPS. You do not have to be a mandated reporter to call CPS. And like I said, it could be something so simple of like, I don't know if I should report this.
Is it
And
anonymous?
um, it is. Yes, they can't
Okay.
tell you who called. Like they won't say so and so called CPS on you. They'll just say
Okay.
there was a CPS. Like, because even when I call from the school, now I have
Okay.
had parents call me back like, I know you called
I
CPS
know
on
you
me.
said. Yeah.
Hey, your child
Yeah.
came here with a black eye. He told me his brother did it. And when I
Mhm.
called you, you said it happened at school. No.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm. Mhm.
and he kept coming and saying, he was coming with bruises and stuff. I don't know. So for my best judgment, I'm just gonna call CPS, make a report.
Right.
They investigate. It is not your job to investigate. And I think a lot of people think that when they call CPS, they're like, well, I'm gonna get there, I'm gonna be the reason the kids get taken. Da, da, da. No,
Yeah.
there's gonna be an investigation, and it's not gonna be you. You're just saying, here, hey, this is what I'm noticing. Can somebody please go check? Just go
Yeah.
check to make sure. And then, so I would just say on the safe side, it could be something like I've had kids who, so like just something simple as somebody maybe starting to use the bathroom or, pee on themselves more. Like this is not something they were doing. It's not
Mm.
something that's, you know, totally a red flag, but it's like, let me
It's
just
out
report
the
this
out
so
the
I can
norm.
see. Yeah, out of the norm. So I would say on the safe side, if you have any concerns, report it. And like you said, it is anonymous. So that way
Okay.
it's not going to be like your best friend called CPS. Now, if it's something she only told you or y'all was only there, she might be able to put two and two together. If this is
Right. Right.
like
Right.
if you was at her house and the baby fell down the stairs or something, and you next thing she
Mhm.
know, it's to knock on her door. You not watching your child falling down the stairs.
Right. Right. You might want to look at that. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, for the less severe cases, right, where maybe the child doesn't necessarily need to be removed from the home, but maybe some of the students that you work with, in the school, or how you were saying, like, parents are often a hindrance to you getting your job done. What do you want to say to those parents, or what can you maybe help them to understand about your role and about how you're stepping in that could maybe make that process a little easier, or give them a little bit of acceptance, like, okay, maybe we do need a little extra help?
I would just say that if you genuinely care about your child's success, then it would be a priority. It's not about you have to put away the stigmas and the embarrassment or the I don't know. I just feel like, and a lot of times, unfortunately, it's our community
Mm-hmm.
who my child not getting no medicine. I
Mm-hmm.
never said anything about medicine, ma'am. I said
Mm-hmm.
that your child is having hard time with his
Yeah.
attention and his hyperactivity.
Mm-hmm.
I think it may be ADHD, but I am not able to diagnose that here. Here is a place that you can go to get him some help so that way he can be able to sit and focus in class and learn. It's not about that we want him to sit and shut up. He can't imagine trying to sit in class learning when your brain is going a million miles per hour.
Yeah.
You, as his mom, should care that it's not us that's uncomfortable, it's him that's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Your child internally is uncomfortable, and you
Yeah.
are saying just because you don't want medicine, which we never, there are other avenues, but I hear that a lot. I don't want my child medicated.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you don't have to, but what are you
Mm-hmm.
going to do? There still is something here that we need to address.
Right.
What are we going to do instead of medicine? What are we going to
Mm-hmm.
try? Just saying you don't want medicine is not enough. What are we going to put in place of that? Because I'm not just saying go medicate kids. I don't think that that's the number one answer either. I think that we should try things prior to that, put in some
Mm-hmm.
interventions, give him some extra time to take some tests, give him some extra breaks and throughout the day to help him get that movement out. But when I said, but parents don't want their child to have, and literally that could be a 504 plan or a
Yeah.
behavior plan, is just giving them, they need, 20 more minutes on their test. They need,
Mhm.
2 extra breaks throughout the day. But parents just don't want to say that their child has an IEP because
Yeah.
that kind of looks bad. But the IEP is just saying they're just getting extra time. Like, so I
Mhm.
think if parents just really ask the necessary questions, because I
Mhm.
get it, you have questions, it's hard to, your child, they're saying my child needs extra help, like, no,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I get it, it's a sensitive subject, I understand, but at the end of the day, you are only hindering your child.
Yes. Yeah.
So I think if they just understood that and really just, put the child first, and I get it, but put away, you know, your I guess own personal feelings about it, and really just do what's
Mhm.
best for the child.
No, that's an excellent point because I think similar to how going to therapy has become a newfound accepted practice, like more and more people are okay with it, whereas before it was, oh, that's something only crazy people do,
Mm-hmm.
or we don't go to therapy in this family, we go to church. I think there is often, especially in the Black community, a misconception around these services and this help that is offered to our children, because you're right, we don't want them to be in the slow classes, or we don't want them to have, like you're saying, these labels, or this extra attention for whatever the reason is. None of us want our children to be othered,
Mm-hmm.
and not be quote unquote normal.
Mm-hmm.
But it's okay to give your child what's necessary for them, like you're saying, to succeed. If you care about them succeeding and they need an extra 20-minute break, so be it. Let it be, and then a constant denial of it or a constant shunning of it does not it probably becomes internalized by the child, because I'm sure they feel, like you're saying, uncomfortable, unable to rise to a particular occasion, and why, and they probably don't know why.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't I get it like everybody else? Why are they able to finish it on time and I'm not? I don't feel unable, or I don't know the right word to use, but I don't feel like I can't do it, but when it comes time to perform, I can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like giving them these opportunities, giving them these chances to succeed is it's just what we got to do. It just is
It's
what
your
it
job
is.
as a parent.
And it's
It's
your
your
job as a parent.
Yep.
And asking questions, right? Asking questions before we're just so quick to be like, not my baby, not my baby. Okay, well, what is this? What does it look like? What is the impact going to be? What should I expect? What happens in 10 years on their record? What does this look like?
Mm-hmm.
Or, okay, well, when they get to high school, how is this going to affect them? I'll ask all those questions, all those things that you're worried about, instead of just assuming the worst because you heard something from somebody who ain't even licensed, somebody probably who ain't even got a kid. You know what I'm saying?
That part.
Yapping and telling you this is bad or this is don't, they ain't gonna don't let them do that to little Jeremiah. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, he needs to
Literally.
focus.
He
So
needs to focus. He
walk
needs
that
to
hallway,
right.
or
Literally.
whatever it might be. So excellent point. So my last question is, what advice would you give to somebody who wants to become a social worker or is considering going into that field, other than reading that book?
Okay, yes. I would just say, like I said earlier, social work is so broad. So I would say research the different types of social work. I would also give people the advice to work in different types of social work settings and get that experience.
Mm-hmm.
I've worked, not, I wasn't a social worker, but I worked in the daycare, I worked in the juvenile home,
Mm-hmm.
I worked in foster care, I've worked in the school, and now in community mental health. So I've kind of gotten to see a little different settings of social work, a little different
Yeah.
avenues to kind of see what works for, what you want to do. Because like I said, social work is so broad. You can be in the
Mm-hmm.
hospital, you can be an administrative social worker, you could be a substance use counselor, you could work with battered women, like you could do
Yeah.
so much with social work.
So many things.
Yeah, so I would say research it, and then I would say definitely develop a self-care boundary plan. You and even more than self-care, boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
Because social work is what it is, and you are supporting and serving these communities, they will take you for everything you got if you let them. And I literally had one of my viral TikToks.
Yeah.
One of my TikToks went viral because I was walking into work and I had 3 bags. I had my coffee in my hand. I
Mm-hmm.
told you it was Michigan. I got my coat on. I got my gloves. And then, hey, I got what?
Okay.
I have not even made it to my office yet. And you think that you're going to ask me a question about a student and I'm going to be able to give you good. Hold
Yeah.
on. I need to be able to at least set my stuff down, get my mental together, get prepared for the day. Give me a second, okay? Do not bombard me when I walk through the door.
And
And
they
some
hated you for that one.
people hated me for like, I was like, is that not a common like
No.
I'm just, well, teachers don't get to, yes, they do. And if I said, if they don't set that boundary, that's on them. But you're not gonna bombard me when oh yeah, I remember I did that assessment with Johnny so and so and I got everything.
Right.
No, I can't even think straight.
Get
So
somebody else.
it's hard, it's easier said than done. I think
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a little bit easier for me because I have that, headstrong personality in general.
Yes.
But some people are not as outspoken and as, yeah, outspoken as I am. So, but you really do have to create those boundaries because they will try to, drag you all over the
Beat
place
up.
because you are the social worker and that's your job. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
I have, stipulations and things that I have to do too. So I would say boundaries, self-care, and just research and experience.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. Y'all got it.
Yeah.
Okay, so y'all know how we do here at the end of every episode, Sierra. We have to challenge our audience with a conversation. Okay, we have to challenge them to have a conversation in their communities based on what we talked about. So, what do you want to challenge our audience to discuss today?
Um, hmm. I would like I would like the audience to think of somebody they may know that is struggling or that can use some extra help and create the conversation of what could help you? What could I do to help? So I
Mm,
don't know if that's a conversation or more so I'm challenging you to go out and do something for somebody that you know may need it. It could be a single mom that you know may need just a night to herself, or I don't know what it is, or it could be just somebody might just need a prayer. Somebody might just need some words of encouragement. But just
mhm.
I would just challenge you to think of somebody who you may know is in need and go do something nice for them. Put a smile on their face. Go out of your way to be, to take a load off of them in
Yeah,
some
to
way.
be of
And
service.
yes, absolutely. And if you do that every once in a while, I promise you that will fill your cup. I literally love doing stuff for people. And it's like nothing in return, but it's just like I just like seeing the smile on their face.
Yeah.
So I
Okay.
would challenge everybody to do that.
Perfect. So yeah, go out and spread some joy, be of service to someone in your life, and try and pick someone who may not often get it, who may not often have every other people supporting them or doting on them. And just look out, ask them what you can do to really help lighten the load or enhance their day or whatever it might be, or just surprise them with something nice. So
And I would love
I
to
love that.
see in the comments what you guys did.
Yes, you gotta comment and tell us. You gotta let us know if you did a
Yeah.
little video, share it, tag me, tag Sierra. We would love to see that. So Sierra, tell the people where can they find you, what you working on, how can we support you, girl?
Yes. So I am on TikTok at cmills1. I am on Instagram at _C-Mills. And then my YouTube is also C-Mills. So you can find me on all platforms of some variation of C-Mills. Type in CMILLSZ and it'll pop up. So I have not started YouTube yet, but I've been trying to do some behind the scene vlogs. So definitely stay tuned for that and see how that manifests itself. So yeah.
Yes,
I'm
yes. Looking
excited.
forward to it. Thank you so much for sharing. This was so impactful, so helpful, y'all. I didn't know a lot of this stuff, so I hope that y'all learned something today while watching. And as always, please, if you haven't, subscribe to the channel. That's the only way you're going to keep up and know when we have a new episode. Even though we're here every Monday, I might
Mhm.
start dropping some other fun content. You never know.
Don't
Like the
miss it.
podcast and leave me a comment. Let me know, what did you learn today when you were watching, or what do you want to add to the conversation? What did I miss? Let me know. Give me something. Either way, we'll be back here next week. I love you. Goodbye.
Bye.